Hello there, welcome to another edition of Figure of Speech, and today we'll be looking at GameStop's newest exclusive gaming great, that is Clone Commando Scorch. Quick story about this guy that I want to share with you guys is that I actually found him in stores like 2 weeks before he was supposed to release back in February, and I remember holding him in my hands and thinking in GameStop, oh my gosh, this is it, I'm going to finally get a early advancement on getting a figure out there on YouTube before it even releases. And then as I try to check them out, I get street dated. And they say, oh, well, you can place a pre-order down for him and just come in on March 14th when he releases. And I thought, you know, I'm already here, I guess, why not? I'll pre-order this figure that I already have in my hands. And they decided to cut down an entire oak tree to print off this tiny receipt, or this massive receipt, for one small figure. And the time comes and I stroll into my GameStop on the 14th of March and I go to the Black Series section in the back of the store, and there they are. I see a whole row full of new Republic Commando Scorches and also the new battle droid that came out alongside them, and I'm just appreciating and seeing the new inventory. And while I'm looking at it, this father comes in and he is there to pick up 2 new figures for his son who is studying for midterms, and he had very little idea what was going on other than Star Wars and new figures. And I had a really just nice interaction and was appreciative of seeing someone else who was interested in the Black Series collection culture and was able to help him point out, oh no, you don't want those guys, they've been out for a while. I'm pretty sure if your son's looking for the figures, they will be these 2 ones, the Commando and Battle Droid that just released today. And you know, if I would have ordered this guy online, I would have never had a nice interaction with that. And I like to say that I can look at just about every piece in my collection and say I can remember the memory or some significant memory of why and how I got that figure. So I'll always remember Scorch as the almost early review and helping a wholesome dad pick out a midterm study gift for his son. But to end things off, as I was checking him out, they said, oh, you actually owe $1 to us still, Mr. GameStop said. And they made me pay $1, and they cut down another tree just for that. And you know, when you have things like plastic-free packaging, it's kind of, you know, ironic to go through so much paper just to have this. But this is my first plastic-free packaging figure, and also it's one of the first in the line. I know that there is much kind of argument about the fact that this Republic Commando is the first to have the CG plastic-free packaging versus the other 3 that released, which all had windows and you're able to see the figure, versus obviously it's just a cardboard box with a render on front, which again, that's not even a real photo. It's nice, but it's you don't know what you're getting because it's a CG render, and also you can't see in the packaging itself. If you look on the side though, however, they at least have the nice, you know, ability to say, oh yeah, it's a 6-inch figure, here's everything you're getting with, and it really reminds me of how Lego boxes would used to have, you know, actual size of, you know, the box, and they would have the figure on the side of it. But that's besides the point. I just am excited to finally have this guy in my hands. And, you know, I don't really think, you know, lots of people have had reports of, you know, oh, someone swapped out a potato for my action figure, or oh, someone swapped a Happy Meal toy for my larger Happy Meal toy and returned it to Walmart and I got tricked and fooled. And, you know, I like to think those reports are funny, but, you know, GameStop's a bit more of a closer niche place. It's harder to fool. Oh my. What is this? It's a scorched piece of corn? What is this? Bad comedy? Why, yes. Yes, it is. All right, let's get into the figure review itself. All right, and some last final actual thoughts on the packaging here and the unboxing process as a whole. This is a rendered shot of Scorch. It's really nice. I like the fact that the ambient light to his right on his packaging, it's kind of mood set by the same color and hue as the gaming greats. color tones, so that's really nice. The art, I don't know, to me he looks a lot more beefy in the way he, working chest day. He's much more buff compared to the other commandos in my opinion when it comes to the side panel art, and I think that the artist did a great job capturing the original Republic Commando look of this guy, because obviously that video game as a whole very much was inspired by Halo, and the beefiness of Master Chief was very well translated into the Republic Commando's aesthetic as super soldiers. So it's one of the criticisms of this figure that they are more animated. They look a lot more slightly proportionalized as to their animated appearances. And another last difference in this packaging before we get to the figure is the fact it's missing the art. On the other boxes, they would have, on the other Republic Commando boxes, they obviously have the panel art on the back, and it also has in Republic Commando font Star Wars Republic Commando. This is lacking both of those. The last process in how the figure arrived was Scorch looked very dead in this wrapped, mummified state. This is exactly how he looked when I opened the box. Alright, enough talking. Here is Scorch. Again, as I mentioned before, this is very much inspired by the animated look that he had in the Season 3 and Season 2 of the Bad Batch in the Clone Wars. In the Clone Wars, he had these two, obviously, big ol' Alexas sticking out of his backpack there. I never really understood why or how he had that, but hey, they were in the Clone Wars, but not the Bad Batch. So if you want to have a Bad Batch accurate Scorch, I'll show you later here, because it's not much of a... I feel like it's more so just they forgot to add those whatever water coolers he has sticking back there. But let's get to the figure itself. It is a reuse of the Hunter body from 2020. So again, that figure inherently is a animated driven character, so it makes sense that this reuse of the body is going to be animated itself. But before we look at the figure itself, let's take a look at the accessories in today's newest segment. Whose line is it anyways? In this segment, we're going to be showcasing two different blasters from two different lines. We have a 3 3/4 inch scaled blaster and a Black Series scaled blaster. Which one is which? Comment below. Alright, so this one is obviously, or not so obviously, the 3 3/4 inch scaled. If you look at any other Black Series blaster or accessory, the scale between TVC and the Black Series is supposed to be a lot different, and the DC-15 or whatever this heavy repeater is has been long criticized as being small. So here at least it has the nice accessory of having the rocket pack on it. It's nice to have actual printing and color applications on a blaster of the Republic Commandos. It makes sense for it to be a Scorch, so that's always nice to see. So taking a look at the articulation and the paint on the figure itself, he has a double ball joint at the neck, and he can look up this far and look down that far. He has his added in sculpt on his backpack with his two Alexas. This is one of the variants in the Hunter mold for the backpack, and you can specifically tell, shout out to the Out of the Basement Discord, Darth Xander, for pointing out the fact that if you take a look right here, there is a Hesh, or an Arabish insignia, Star Wars alphabet, and that's an H. And that is on all of the Republic Commandos because they all reuse Hunter. If you look right there. And then if you don't believe me, here is the original figure in the original backpack with Hunter. And you can see it very clearly with his marooned out appearance right there. So again, we're all reuse of the same figure, just in different styles. Moving on to the front of the figure, the paint on Scorch is honestly the best out of just about every other Republic Commando we've seen so far in the Gaming Greats line. It's a good thing because this one is the most expensive out of all of them. Over the year and a half or two that Boss has been out, the GameStop prices have been rising, and it's nice to see that money at least went well to the paint applications and overall detailing on this figure. We could have gotten this version of Scorch that we have seen all too much in the Bad Batch. It's weird, I guess I get it, it might be just be a modeling thing, but he has been running around in Bad Batch with a DC-15 carbine and not his repeater, and just had a normal backpack in most scenes. So, you know, it's really nice to see that they went the extra mile to go from this to this with the bulky accessories that we know him to have. As you can see, he can get in some pretty dynamic poses, both kneeling and standing. And taking a look at the articulation of the figure itself, he has a double ball jointed at the head. He butterflies at the shoulder, and the shoulder pads rotate nicely along with them. That's a new feature on the Hunter 2020 body that also translated very well into the other clone trooper bodies. Arms can go up just past 90 degrees. Ball joint on the waist. Spread. Jobby reference. He has a thigh swivel. You're able to get his knees up about this far and that far back. And to continue on the comparisons and scales, here we have the Black Series next to the Saga Legends Republic Commando Scorch. This guy released back in 2006, and you can tell with some just, you know, slight differences in the sake of, you know, the beefed up, roided up look of if a Spartan was a clone trooper, that's what it would probably look more like. And if you are kind of saddened, like a lot of people are, that the Black Series look very much missed out on the beef boy aesthetic that is a 2005 Commando, there are plenty of conversion kits online that people have taken their liberty to create on their own. So go support an Etsy shop or something of the 3D printing community. However, if you're not in the market for something like a full resin conversion kit, maybe you can take a look at customizing a figure of your own. I went to my local alleys and I found a wrecker on there for like half the price. He was $15. He's usually a $30 figure. So for that price, I made him a little evening experiment and transferred him into a Blaze Trooper from the Episode 3 video game, except he kind of looks like a clone assassin with that blade, but that's besides the point. You can just see for comparison, he is a lot more filled out in the proportions that you would want to have a traditional Republic Commando. And if you're really wanting to, go out there and just try it. It's always nice to create something that you want to see come to fruition. It was nice to finally have an opportunity to get a good paint job in on a Black Series figure. So, I don't know, you should go try it. Now, don't let the fact that this is an animated styled figure sway you away one way or another. It really does have a great shelf present regardless if you have a fondness for the 2005 design versus the 08 design. I really love the fact that he can just fit in very well with other figures like Boss here. I ironically picked up this Boss purely to paint him as a Imperial Royal Guard Commando, I forget. I think so. The ones that basically look just like a Commando Security clone, but a Commando. I really hope that they get some love in this show because I just love that design, and I really hope that the Black Series will come around to give us at least a plain white Imperial Commando. And for some quick comparisons here, he is next to a heavy battle droid, Scorch from the Saga Legends, a shiny, bad comedy. We're all clones, how come I'm the only one with a sense of humor? Quiet. Get out. The McFarlane Richtofen, and an SH Figuarts Jango Fett. As we round off with the final thoughts of the video, I want to answer one last question, and that is he worthy of a pickup? He is the last member of Delta Squad, and over the time, the price of a gaming great figure has risen a few dollars, and in many ways, you're able to tell that in the applied detailing and new sculpt to some parts of the guns and backpacks. So that's rather nice to have in the larger scheme of things. So yeah, I would recommend picking up a Commando Scorch if you see him at your local GameStop, especially if you see him on sale. Yeah, the prices may have been rising recently, but that can never really be too much of a good sign for a company like GameStop, especially when they have a stranglehold on gaming-centered figures. It's kind of important to support them when we can, because you don't know how much longer that might be available in the line. So yeah, thank you very much for watching the video. Make sure you smash that like button. Stay tuned for the next edition of Figure Speech, and thank you very much for supporting my content here on YouTube. I have a lot more creations down the pipeline that I can't wait to share with you guys. Thank you again so much, and have a good one. I've tried to be
to me.